To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigo Learn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
Welcome to our special session on advanced accounting. If there is any tech issue, just give a heads up. Otherwise, I'm assuming that you're able to hear me, see me clearly, and that the bandwidth from my side is good. Audio, video, everything is good, is what I'm assuming. All right. So the next 1 hour is going to be fun. If you all are unmuted, I'm fine with that. I want the conversation to be more engaging, and even if it is noisy, I'm somebody who loves noise. So unless there is a ridiculous amount of disturbance at your end, I appreciate if there is, if your videos are on and if your audio is also on. Can everybody get into video on mode? Yeah. I'm not forcing though, but it helps. It helps to have a more engaging conversation. You can be video on, and even you can unmute yourself, and we can have this conversation if that works for everybody. All right, so let's just get started. The broad objective of this session is, as you see right now, the blood pressure levels sometimes for different people are fluctuating, and we know very well how this confidence level, right, a few days before exam and a few months before exam as well, sometimes we just keep having these oscillations in the confidence levels. This session, the session's objective is to really make you comfortable in terms of where you are, and to get a sense of sanity into our approach, just to be sure that it's a sort of recalibration sometimes that we need to do what is required to do well in our exams, and sometimes a lot of times in our real life too. So this session is meant to be more of such recalibration session. And what we want to do in this session is not solving 50 problems in 50 minutes. No, that's not what we are here for. This is to get kind of zoom out from all the efforts, preparations we are putting in, and just get a picture of the forest again. So think of this metaphor. There is a forest. From a helicopter or from an aeroplane, you're able to see the entire picture of forest. Then you see a tree, you go to the tree, you go to the root of the tree, and try understanding everything about the tree. When you actually solve problems independently, you try reading an accounting standard, you try solving a problem, you're actually going to the tree and to the root of the tree. But this effort is not to stay at the root. This effort is to again bring you back to the picture of the forest, because that will help you understand, okay, so this is where I am, this is what is supposed to be done, and my prep is going all right, there is something falling short. So we will be able to get a good sense of how we are doing, and some big things which probably need to be course corrected, not sometimes small too. So the purpose of the session is that. So I just want to stop here for a moment. Let's take a couple of minutes. You guys can unmute yourself and share your thoughts on your expectations from this 1 hour. What is success from this 1 hour for you looking like? Anybody can go for it. All right. So looks like there isn't anything specific coming from your side. So I'll continue. Friends, I think everybody is aware, Institute has given the broad weightage for our examination. So I've just done a little bit of tweaking to it. Institute gave a range. So I just tried bringing it to a number instead of just considering a range, so that we can just stay focused on one number. So accounting standards, for all these numbers, you can take plus or minus 5 marks. Okay. So accounting standards are for about 20 marks, and company accounts like ESOP, buyback, and so on, plus amalgamation, reconstruction, this bunch is for about 35 marks. The topic around banking, NBFC, that is for about 10 to 15 marks, roughly, let us say 12 marks. And consolidation, partnership is somewhere between, say, 30 to 35 marks. So, or 25 to 30 marks, 35 marks. So that's the broad range what we have for the topics that we have in our group, in our advanced accounting curriculum. Again, friends, I think for this session to be meaningful, it really helps if it is it's a dialogue, not a monologue. I think you would have watched my videos enough, seen stuff. All that is good, but this session is meant to be more engaging. So for that, I appreciate if you kind of jump in. So we looked at the weightage. So any thoughts, any reflections? Is there something which is new when you saw this weightage compared to what you already thought? Okay. I'm unsure whether you are able to unmute yourself. Divya, can you unmute yourself and respond to what I asked? Or anybody for that matter? Any thoughts, any reflections? That will give me confidence that there is no technical issue and that you are able to hear me.
Sorry, sir. May I know the question once?
Glad. My day is done. Somebody finally responded. So looks like the Zoom call is a reality and not a hallucination that I'm in. Okay, so the question is, you looked at this weightage. Is there anything new that you saw from this weightage? Anything which surprised you? Anything which just did this slide invoke any emotion or thought?
Yeah, accounting standard plays a major role. And I'm from November attempt, so I'm not that sure. I'm new.
Great. Great. So I mean, this is pretty much similar whether it is November attempt or May attempt. The accounting standards, the good thing is they are for 20 to 25 marks. And more interestingly, if you do well, you can actually get, say, out of 25 marks or 20 marks, you can actually get all the marks. It's not that, oh, some marks will be deducted. And if you put in proper prep, the good thing with standards is also that if you read the question, you will know whether you know the answer or not. So there's a question about its standard. If you prepared for it, just by the looks of that question, you know whether you will be in a position to answer that and whether you would get those marks. Unlike, say, problems where you start solving and then you figure out, whether you actually got it or not. So thanks for sharing that reflection. Anyone else? All right. So if there's no other thought, then let me move into the next slide. Sequence of solving. Friends, when we look at the sequence of solving, I am somebody who believes in a lot of freedom that you can take in the way you want to approach. But I'll just talk about the context. These are not rules. Just I want to clarify. These are not rules. This is context. Now, what is the difference between the two? For the entire 1 hour that we're going to spend, what I would be sharing is context. When you look at sequence of solving, first, anybody who is attempting an exam paper, when you get into the exam hall, can you tell me what is your state of mind and how does your heartbeat feel when you just enter the exam hall and the first 15-20 minutes? How does it feel?
It's like entering in an ICU ward.
Wow. Right? So that's like entering into an ICU ward is what Lakshmi says. Anyone else?
I feel very tense in exam hall.
Initially, it'll be, there'll be more tension. All right. Anyone else?
So we get these anxiety attacks during this first 10
Anxiety
minutes.
attacks. That's true. That's true, Ritu. You're right. So all these are right. All these are true. So now my question is, Meera Devi, go ahead. You don't need to raise your hand. This is a pretty cool session where you can just unmute yourself and talk if you want to talk. Meera Devi, you want to say something?
Fear about the question paper.
Yeah. Right. So that's right. So you generally have more anxiety, more concern. You are probably not your coolest and the most composed self, right? This is true. There is no surprise. We all know that. When we know that, the next point is when you see, it's a IPL season has started, and even if it's a great player, a lot of times in the first 1 over, even in IPL, what is that we notice with batsmen? Anyone? Any cricket fans, IPL fans? What is it you notice? Even if it is Rohit Sharma or if it is Virat Kohli, what do you notice in the first 1 over? Defense, yeah. So a sort of a defense, or I would say, you want to take less risks and you want to play your game. You just want to get settled into the game, right? The same thing we should do for our exam, nothing different. So the first few minutes, I would actually consider that to be the first 15-20 minutes. If you take up things which don't involve every second of yours, or like 1 second here and there, oh, the problem is gone. No, I don't think we should do such things. And it is good to build some momentum in the first 15-20 minutes. So my preference would be to start with accounting standards, because one, if you have done your preparation through Indigo Learn, which I know you did, all of you would be quite comfortable with accounting standards, the why of those accounting standards, and the way to approach those accounting standard questions in the examination. Is it a fair assumption to make? Is it a fair statement to make?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So Abhishek says yes. Anyone else? If you have done the curriculum, do you feel comfortable with what you learn in accounting standards, and is there that inherent confidence that you can do it well?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. I'm so
Yes,
proud
sir.
of you all. So proud
Yes,
of
sir.
you. So, considering that, my dear friends, please start with accounting standards. It's only for this reason. You have that structured, 4 questions to 5 questions which you might get, and the first part of your preparation of answer if you do this accounting standards, your nerves cool down. Trust me, that will start building momentum into the subsequent questions. So this is the first point. The second point is, when you get the question paper, the first and foremost thing I encourage you to do is decide your sequence in which you're going to solve the questions. The sequence should be in the degree of confidence. It is not based on, oh, this chapter will be first. No, nothing. Okay, accounting standards is different. After that, look at the question. Depending on the question and your level of confidence to solve that correctly, prioritize. Bulk of our time should go into answering questions which we are comfortable with. So then you will have, for some topics like, say, consolidation or partnership, I encourage you to think about consolidation, partnership kind of questions towards the last 1 hour. I'm repeating, consolidation, partnership kind of questions, I encourage you to solve them towards the last 1 hour. Why? Because you start solving them, there might be some surprises which may come. It's not that we do any less preparation. We spend a lot of time, we thoroughly prepare, but still the topic is such that it sometimes might take, 40 minutes, 45 minutes has gone for a partnership question. It happens even to me sometimes. So my dear friends, I would encourage you to think of solving questions, first accounting standards. If you think it's fine, this is not set in stone. If you think it is fine, do consolidation, partnership towards the last 1 hour, and like essentially half an hour each, right? You can't say, oh, partnership question took me 45 minutes and I couldn't solve the rest of the paper. No, you have already done the rest of the paper and then come to partnership consolidation. So that in that way, we are ensuring that questions which have the potential to take more time are not affecting the probability of answering or comfort of answering other questions. Is everybody clear about the broad thought process behind the sequence, what we spoke about? I just want to hear a minute from you before we move to the next topic. All right. Any questions? No? All right. Okay. Let's move to the next one. Now, this is something that is common, whether you are writing in November or May. If you're writing in May, you have, say, I'll just still say, like 4 weeks or so. Sometimes it might be less than that, 3 weeks. And if you're writing in November, you definitely have this 4-month, 4-week, 1 day kind of a model, fully applicable for you. Right? Now, what does it mean? Here is what I mean by this. In your first round of preparation, I am assuming those who are writing in November, this is obviously fully relevant for you. First round of preparation, the objective, right? So these are 3 rounds. Okay. So in the first round of preparation, you basically have to ensure that you cover whatever is there in the curriculum in a detailed manner, right? Essentially, you are covering whatever is there in the curriculum in a detailed manner. But what we need to understand is, when we come to the second and third rounds, we generally have lesser time, where solving entire accounts textbook is obviously not possible. We know that very well. So when you know that very well, how do you plan and prepare for it? So I'll tell you what I shared. So this conversation with you is more in the capacity of a student as a senior who passed exam before you. Okay. So what I used to do is, when I do my first round, if I knew that, say, first round, 4 months I have to do all the subjects, and then say in about 4 to 6 weeks, say if I have to do second round of all the subjects, and say if I have 5 days, 7 days for each subject. One, I used to study more than one subjects per day. In every round, I used to study more than one subjects. In the first round, I used to study 2 subjects. And in the second round, I used to study 3 or 4 subjects. The reason why I'm saying this is change of work is rest for anybody. In fact, change of work is rest. Maybe before this call, I was working for like say 10 hours and I was working on something else. And this conversation is rest to me because it's different from what I was doing earlier. Trust me, my dear friends, rest need not always be sleeping for a couple of hours or watching an IPL match. Rest could be change of work. So think of a way in which you change from one subject to the other. Again, it can't be like every 10 minutes I change. Then there is no focus. You don't come into the zone at all. So have dedicated slot of 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever works for you. And after that, you can change the subject. That helps. And if I'm doing my first round, at the end of first round, I should know how my time will go in the second round. I'll just put an example. If I know that in the first round, I spent time on advanced accounting, at the end of first round, when I come into the second round, I should have clarity that, okay, I will have only 6 days for advanced accounting into say 8 hours for advanced accounting. So roughly 50 hours is what I have for advanced accounting. So in 50 hours, what are the questions that I will have to cover, right? So I'll tell you something that really works. If you get into the habit of writing next to every question, right? It could be a small post-it. I don't know whether you people use these post-it notes. They're pretty helpful. So small post-it notes, or you could just write, put a small sticker next to it, or just write next to that question. The key thing, if you just want to know the gist of, oh, this one point, these 3 points are super unique from this question, and this is how I approach them, you can just have those small notes next to those questions. Now, why is it important? One, it will give you clarity. If you look at that notes, you will get a memory of, oh, when I did that, when I actually wrote this note. So it starts building more comfort and familiarity. And 2, it starts making you focus on the most important thing, right? Maybe there are 3 questions based on a similar logic. You solved the first questions and you solved all 3 questions in the first round. In the second round, you probably may say, okay, first 2 questions are too easy. Let me solve the third question, which is of a similar pattern, in my second round. So you will make a specific note next to that third question, so that in the second round, you don't waste time on where do I solve, where do I start, how do I approach it, so much to do. Friends, if you prepare well, there is no need to worry. If you don't, then obviously you will spend more time worrying, not preparing, right? So these are some ways in which you can either prepare or worry. You can't do both. So we are focusing on preparing, not on worrying. Okay. So similarly, in your second round, by the time you get to your month of April or November, whenever that exam week or exam day, exactly how will you spend 15 hours before your exam? 15 hours, because you have a holiday and all of that. So about 15 hours of time before your exam, exactly what would you do? And I'll tell you a key thing that you have to bear in mind. You have to be super conscious of the marks weightage. And trust me, friends, this holds good, whether it is accounts or auditing or any subject for that matter. What is the marks weightage? If accounting standards are for 20 to 25 marks, what we will have to do is build our plan in such a way that 20 to 25% of time is going into accounting standards. As simple as that. If, say, consolidation partnership are for 30 marks roughly, 30% of your time has to go into consolidation partnership. In other words, only 30% of time has to go into consolidation partnership. And within that, you divide how you want to divide. So what will not happen is, oh, sir, I started my preparation one day before exam with partnership. I kept solving question after question of partnership and exam time has come. That doesn't make sense. So we need to be thoughtful about it. Be, just loosely used, be very shrewd and commercial. Okay. The time what we spend has to be worth the marks. The time what we spend has to be worth the marks. In your first round, the time what you spend has to be worth the concept. But from second round onwards, the time what you spend has to be worth the marks. Okay, I want to pause here. Any thoughts, questions, or reflections? Did you think about it this way? Any, did something cross your mind as I discussed this? I just want to hear from you.
So this is exactly what we really wanted to hear because we waste time actually before the exam, the day before the exam. We really don't know where to start and where to just continue. So it's kind of a head start you gave us. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thanks, Ritu. So in fact, friends, I would encourage you by the time you finish your, second round, have 1 or 2 pages. I'll tell you how it should work. One day before exam cannot be exploring what to read, right? You should have, even if it is 2 or 3 pages, doesn't matter. Have in this chapter, these are the 3 questions I will solve. In this chapter, this question, this adjustment I have to read again. This chapter or this question, this small table I will prepare again, right? So basically, one day before exam, you should just take this small 2-3 papers and, okay, this is the time, just start doing one after the other, just keep doing it, that's all. So you should not think about how to spend the time before examination. You should have clear guidance that you prepared for yourself to be able to optimize the time and get greatest value. This to me is, I think, 30% success factor for exam, if I have to honestly put it. Right. Okay, I'm just moving into the next slide in the interest of time. Book for mistakes and post-its for key concepts. Friends, a lot of times, or rather, I think our whole education approach, our curriculum, our brought up, everything has been, if you do well, people appreciate you. If you make a mistake, people scold you or they just pin you down, they make you feel bad, all of that, right? And on the other hand, all the great people in life keep saying, we learn from our mistakes. Now, this is a conundrum. As a student, if you don't have the natural ability to learn from your mistakes, or if that is not a thing that you celebrate, then suddenly in life, you don't get to this mindset of, oh, I made a mistake and I have to accept it, embrace it, and learn from it. It doesn't become so intuitive. So my dear friends, the long story short is, whenever while solving the problems, you make a mistake, I want, and sometimes, some people keep talking about, oh, hey, I have a formula book. I have a formula book. In that book, I read all formulae. I by heart those formulae. I go through that. We don't need any of that crap. Okay. We don't need any of that. What we need is an honest understanding of where we have the possibility to make a mistake. If you have that awareness, you will start being alertness. When you start building that alertness, you automatically will start wiring your brain towards, oh no, this is an area where I know I tend to make a mistake. I'll be more careful. That is the secret sauce. Trust me, friends. This book for mistakes is basically like any problem where you make a mistake in, you will write down, what is the mistake I made? Of course, that preparation for that book, I would encourage you to do it if you're doing your first round. And from second round, third round, you basically, even beyond second round, third round, it should just be like, okay, I'm just sitting. Okay, let me take out my mistakes book and just glance through that. And you know what? You will be the wisest person ever if you can do this all through your life. Have a reflection. This is more of a reflection. Okay, I solved this problem. It's not that I don't know anything. I know maybe 90% of the problem. But there is that little 10% which will keep us from getting those marks, right? So this book is mainly for that. And if you do this, then trust me, friends, I feel you will be much more confident than anyone else when you are approaching your exams. I want to pause here again. I want to hear from you. Does it make sense? Did you ever try this?
Yeah, shall I?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. If you see the accounting classes, after Suraj sir, actually Sathya Raghu sir will be taking the classes. And the most important point he will be saying, which is very useful for me, is whenever you do the mistake, don't strike it off. Just underline the word where you have done the mistake and round it off. Yeah, I've done a mistake. Hereafter, I'm not going to do it. Just highlight it and put a star. So I keep often doing that. And though my attempt is in November, I finished my own accounting first revision and even my second revision. Thank you, sir, for that.
Great, Lakshmi. So I hope you know I'm only Sathya Raghu that who's who had
Yeah,
the privilege
yeah,
of talking to you from video.
yeah.
Right. All right. So
And
yeah, go
one
ahead.
thing.
Yeah.
My mom mother tongue is Tamil and she don't know English. She used to see your class and she used to admire how he is going into the books and he was teaching a lot. She don't know language, but she can understand, right, what you're teaching. So she used to admire so much.
Please convey my regards to your mother for all
Yeah,
the love and affection. All right.
thank you.
So, friends, let us be such people who celebrate mistakes. We should not shy away from our mistakes. We should celebrate them. And that will make us not, it's a great life lesson. It is not just for exams. You can just go and say sorry to somebody so much more easily if this is this is something that we learn as a student. All right, so if this makes sense, then let's go ahead into the next one. Staying positive. I'm not here going to do like a half an hour of motivation session. But if there's one thing I want to tell you, it is this. You can either worry or prepare. You can't do both. You can either worry or prepare. You can't do both. And think of a player like Dhoni. Sometimes he would have won matches. Sometimes he would have lost matches. Doesn't matter. But do you feel that when he wins matches, he's just jumping, dancing all over the place? Not necessary. Even if he loses a match, he would still have that calm head, right? Where that person still has that stability, calm head to say, yep, I know. Even in the last over, even if it is a very tense last over, probably everybody in the world watching cricket remotely is also tensed, but you don't see somebody who is just standing behind the stumps or holding the bat and playing. Say somebody like Dhoni, you don't see him that tensed. The answer is this: you can either get worried or you can prepare and stay positive. So to be able to prepare and perform, you have to not start thinking about, oh, what if on the day of results my result is bad? There's nothing we can do about it. We have to have the courage to say that's fine. But today is not the day where you start thinking about that, right? Similarly, the exam, what we want to give, we should believe that we are going to succeed. You know what I mean by staying positive? Particularly for my friends who are taking exam in November and also for my friends who are taking exam in May, I think just bear this in mind. If you prepare to just pass, like, oh, I want that 40 per subject, 50 average. I'm sorry, this is not a course that we enjoy. If you prepare for excellence, when I say excellence, if people can score 70s and 80s in this, it is not 70 or 80 marks. I don't care about marks, but the point is, I want to be a person who is worthy of the 70, 80 marks. I want to be a person who is worthy of those 70, 80 marks. Now, what happens is, sometimes, like me, you will also feel, I don't want to solve any problems today. This chapter I want to leave. I don't want to read that. This is boring. Do you people feel that, or only I feel that? Do you also feel that? Anybody who feels that?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. I feel that.
You feel that?
Yes,
Who else
sir.
feels that? Who else feels that? Come on. Who else feels that? Whoever felt that rather.
I felt it, sir.
You felt that? Okay. So we
I
are all the
felt it.
ordinary people, and then there are extraordinary other people in the call who don't feel that. Is that how I should understand?
Me too, sir.
Amazing. My dear friends, each of us feel that, right? Each of us feels that. And that is such a natural human emotion. Something which is tough, you just feel like, can I avoid it? It's uncomfortable. Can I avoid it? It's such a natural human emotion. I would tell you, the only way to overcome that is anchoring yourself to excellence. If you are anchoring yourself to passing, you will continue to feel that. If you anchor yourself to excellence, I should be worthy of 70, 80 marks. You know what happens? There will be a gush of energy which comes from within and tells you, hey, if you are somebody who wants to be worthy of those marks, how can you say you will not read this? Right? Okay, maybe even if it is not now, tell me when you will read it. The next question would be, tell me when you would read it. Commit now. Who will ask you? You will ask yourself. Right? And that positive energy which comes from within will start building you towards excellence, where passing exam is not something that you should you should look for when you are checking your result. I'm repeating, the day you check for result, the curiosity should not be, did I pass or did I not? Did I excel the way I wanted, or did I fall short anywhere? Right? Now, that shift, the moment it happens, I'm not exaggerating. I don't think that I'm saying all this because, oh, I'm some extraordinary student. No, I was not. I was a student who was thrown out of school because I couldn't clear some levels in school. So I was a very ordinary student. But I think when I came to CA, the key thing that I shifted was this. All my schooling, probably I didn't enjoy schooling as much. But when I came to CA, when I started understanding the why of things, and when I started enjoying, oh wow, I think this is going to be relevant for me for a big part of my life. So when I started feeling that, then and when my anchoring to excellence started making me become a person who focuses on, yes, I will do whatever it takes to get this done. So basically that positivity, which doesn't make you worry, will I clear or not clear? Of course you will clear. That clearing isn't a problem. We are talking about excellence, right? So somewhere I would encourage you to think about it. I want to pause here again. I want to hear your reflections.
Yes, sir.
Asim, go ahead,
Yes,
Asim.
sir. Yes, yes.
Yeah, you're saying something. Go ahead.
No, sir. I have a doubt with the accounts, advanced accounts. In internal reconstruction chapter, when we post journal entries, and after that, the working note should be prepared. It's like that, sir.
See, I think you can leave a couple of pages for journal entries depending on your estimation,
Yes.
and then start making working notes. Don't worry. If you're unsure, will it take me 1 page or 1.5 page for journal entries?
Yes.
Right? Leave 2 pages here. Who is stopping you?
Yeah.
Right? You paid your exam fees, sunk cost. Right? It is not a variable cost, no. Right?
Yeah.
You paid your exam fees. Number of additionals will not have any implication on your extra fees. What you'll pay. Leave 2 sides. Right?
Yes,
and start working notes. What if there is some place left? Leave it, just strike it off or something like that. That's all. Don't bother. Right? Right? Feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Most welcome. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Before I move ahead into the next slide?
Shall I?
Please jump in, Harshita.
Sir, I don't prefer students to leave any subjects or chapter because I feel that ICI will give such questions whichever we didn't study. So that fear made me not to leave any subjects or questions or theory. So I don't prefer students to leave any chapter or because same questions will be asked in exams, sir, most of the case.
Yeah. So Harshita, I'm just asking you to, great point, Harshita. I appreciate that. I'm just asking you to think of this from a slightly different lens.
Okay.
It is not out of the fear of ICAI asking you topics which you learn. It is out of your personal intrinsic motivation to go for excellence.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Okay,
The end result is what exactly is same, but the way you approach it is not out of fear, it is out of love, right? You will not approach those topics which actually sometimes might be terribly boring. You wouldn't approach them out of fear. You might approach them out of, hey, I know it is tough, but I want to do it, right? So you actually approach it with more of love and happiness than approaching them out of fear. I think that's a slight nuance that I wanted to share.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay.
Right. Anyone else? All right. Now comes the most important thing, time management. I know how many of you will be like, sir, I don't know how I'll write my exam. I don't know whether I'll be able to complete my paper on time. I don't know whether the paper will be for 6 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. All these are some obvious questions which come to our mind. And all of us have same time to solve this paper. Right. So I'm sure during the class, you would have heard part of time management stuff that we would have spoken about. But again, let me talk about some key points. The key to time management now this is specifically about the exam. All right. This is about the 3 hours exam. The key is knowing that there are only 3 hours and knowing that there is a way to solve the paper in 3 hours. Okay. You should know both. We have only 3 hours and there is a way to solve paper in 3 hours. If you don't solve the paper in 3 hours, you cannot put the blame on examiner. You have to know that, oh, there is a way and I didn't follow that way, right? So considering that, instead of regretting, I want everybody to be attentive. How are we going to approach it? I would have mentioned this in the class as well. If a question is for, totally if you have to attempt about 100 marks, right? Roughly. Then if you have about 180 minutes, assume that the initial few minutes of getting paper, a little bit of nervousness, and the last few minutes, and during the exam also, sometimes we slightly, have some downtime. So considering, all these things, I just want to remove about 30 minutes and say 150 minutes of quality time, high quality time is what we have to answer this 100 marks paper. That is the first point. 150 minutes of high quality time is what we have to answer this 100 marks paper. And that translates to 1.5 minutes per mark of rough time, 1.5 minutes. So if the question of an accounting standard is for 5 marks, the mental preparation should be 5 into 1.5. 7.5 to 8 minutes is what I want to spend and solve this question. And in intervals of 10-15 minutes, I want you to have a check on whether your run rate, required run rate, actual run rate. In cricket, the way we keep checking, I want you to have an eye on this. Hey, this is a 10 marks question. I have about 15, 16, 17 minutes, right? 15 minutes plus or minus 2-3 minutes. So that is the broad time I have. Okay, 15 minutes is done. How much am I doing? Oh, I have to do much more. I have to write notes. It will take me 10 minutes. Then what do I do? Find a way to speed it up. Find a way to write within, say, 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, try to finish it. If for any reason you feel that, oh no, I think it will take more time. It might take 10 more minutes. It might take 15 more minutes. I'm stuck somewhere. The natural feeling that all of us would have is there is something about human behavior. I don't know whether you heard about it. Hey, did you hear about something called sunk cost? Did you hear about something called sunk cost? Folks, did you hear about something called sunk cost? I want somebody to educate me on what sunk cost is.
Once it is lost.
So, there is something called sunk cost fallacy. You know what that sunk cost fallacy means? We put some time. Now that we put this time, we want to put more time behind the problem where we are stuck and waste time which we probably could have spent on a problem where we could probably get marks. So we just want to put good time behind the time that we already spent, and we just keep extending. Okay, 15 minutes over, scheduled time is over, 2-3 minutes extra you gave, still it is not done. Let me take extra 10 minutes. Let me take extra 15 minutes. My dear friends, this is a promise that you are going to give me today, that if a problem is not completed within that scheduled time, number of marks into 1.5 minute, into 1.5, plus or minus 5 minutes. Okay. If the problem is not solved, then you will leave side space and just drink some water, take some deep breath and go to the next problem. Okay. Please do not get stuck. Please do not get stuck. If you have time at the end, please come back to fill those gaps. But do not let some small portion of one question affect one entire question. You know what happens generally? You will be stuck with some small portion of a question and you will be going in rounds and rounds. The probability of cracking is also limited, but the certainty is that you will, for a 2-3 extra marks, you might miss out on time for a 15 marks question or a 16 marks question. Is this point clear or not? Right? So please ensure that in that scheduled time, if it is not done, give some space and move on. That's okay. There is no problem. If you find time, you come back and solve it. Right? I want to pause it. It's very important. I definitely want to hear from you. What you think about this? Any doubts regarding this as well? Anyone? Any thoughts?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, Kalyani.
I've attended in the last November, that is November 2020, and I actually cleared advanced accounts, but I didn't get the aggregate marks for group 2, so I didn't clear the group. I have to write it again. I have a doubt, like if you just strike out something, if you just leave something unattended, or like leave some space where it is not wanted, will that create any bad impression from the person who is correcting, and will that actually reduce our marks in the next questions that we have?
Absolutely no impact, Kalyani. All you could do is, if you are left with some space and you don't know what to do towards the end, you may just come back to strike off that space. That's okay. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Examiner is busy reading your questions, doesn't have so much time to think about all those impressions which people have. That is why even for the first question, some people feel, sir, first question, second question, I need to write with beautiful handwriting so that examiner thinks I have a great handwriting. Examiner doesn't give a damn about your handwriting. Right? So examiner just cares to see what you have written, not how beautiful your handwriting is. It should be legible, of course. Right? So don't bother, just leave space and move ahead. If you find time, come back and fill it. If you don't, just strike it off. That's perfectly okay. It doesn't affect your overall performance.
Okay, sir. And I have another question as well. This is not only with regard to advanced accounting, but in general, especially for auditing and GST. Should we just write exactly as it is in the act or essays or like that, or we can just write it in our own?
Yeah, I'll even bring it to the context of accounting standards because we are in the advanced accounting session. So whether it is advanced accounting standards or auditing or anything else.
Okay.
I mean, you are not expected to remember things verbatim. Okay, let's be clear. At the same time, you can't distort something so much that it doesn't communicate what it is supposed to communicate. Right? So that is a fine balance you need to draw. And the answer to this lies in you. I mean, if you are comfortable rephrasing that in other words, but it should still communicate what it is meant to communicate, right? So then it is perfectly okay. Don't bother about repeating things verbatim. That said, there will be some keywords, right? In accounting, say something like the materiality or accrual or risk reward. Now there are no easy synonyms which will communicate the same word, right? There you don't try to change because those words will quickly communicate something which would have otherwise required 2-3 sentences. So such keywords, please try to hold, retain, and other things you can communicate in your, in a language which the examiner understands. Does it clarify, Kalyani?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Anyone else? Any other thoughts regarding time management before we move on? All right. Okay. So here are some key points which I thought I'll recap your memories. All these probably during our classes I would have mentioned to you, but just a quick snapshot of these points. When you're solving accounting standards questions, do not start your answer with, yes, this is as per accounting standard. No, this is not as per accounting standard. No, that's not the way we do it, right? So first you have to start with the correct accounting standard reference. Now, Accounting standard numbers, I'm sure if you have done the standards, you will remember the numbers. I don't think anybody will ask me, sir, should I remember the number of accounting standard? You will remember. How can you forget, right? So they're so easy to remember. You will remember the standard numbers. Sometimes you may struggle to write the exact title of accounting standard. So if you know the exact title of accounting standard, give it in inverted commas. Otherwise, I might just say accounting standard 19 on accounting for leases. Then I need not specifically give exactly what the words which are given in the accounting standard title. Okay, that is a small thing. You will basically write the standard which is the most relevant one for the question. So you, again, don't try to set too much of context. Again, if it is a 5 marks question, you have only 7.5 minutes to 8 minutes of time. Then you have about 2 to 3 minutes of time to write the points regarding the accounting standard. How much can you write? Think about it. So that is how you should start getting to the core of the problem or the core of the standard. Okay, so this is a standard regarding, say, is it a finance lease or operating lease? So these are the 5 conditions. In that, this is the point which is relevant. So just quickly get to the exact point. Don't try to give too much context. This is the point what I'm trying to communicate. Be as close as possible to the point. Don't try to do too much of context setting. Institute came up with AS 19 on accounting standard for leases. This is important. No, please don't start with all of that, right? Nobody cares, right? This is the exact point. You are getting to that. Then the second part of your answer is the summary of what is given and an analysis of what is given in the question in the context of accounting standard. And the third part is comment as a comment whether the treatment given by management is appropriate. Something like this will be given in the question. Then the third part of your answer should be that conclusion as to the treatment followed by management is not as per accounting standard so and so. So that 3-part approach, please trust in that framework and follow that. Okay, right. And also I said you can start your questions with accounting standards, right? Now coming to consolidation, my key suggestion here would be consolidation. It's one of my favorite topics, not just for CA Inter or IPCC, but also for final. It's beautiful topic. I love that. I love that so much, so that I don't want it to affect other topics. So I encourage you to solve consolidation towards the later part. Consolidation question generally will be for about 16 marks. So 16 into 1.5, about 24-25 minutes, maximum 30 minutes, right? So maximum 30 minutes is what I can spare for, what you can spare for consolidation question. So in the last 1 hour, if you take up, say, after 2 hours or after 2.5 hours, you take that question, so that any spillover from consolidation will not affect other topics. See, something like ESOP accounting, it cannot be lengthy. ESOP accounting is highly technical, short, focused, you get the marks, that's all. Banking, sharp, focused, you get the marks, that's all. They are not lengthy. You will never say, oh, because of banking, I'm struggling with time management. Because of ESOP, I'm struggling with time management. You wouldn't say those, right? Because of accounting standards, you can't struggle with time management. So these are topics where you have greater predictability in terms of the time within which you can solve. So the topics like this, where there is lesser predictability or there is a possibility for a stretch, we are trying to move them towards the later part. Same thing with amalgamation also. I would apply a similar lens where I want to solve them in the last 1 hour, right? Then coming to banking NBFC company accounts, friends, it is important to see the latest amendments as per the, if any, as per the RTPs, specifically banking NBFC company accounts. There is a possibility for amendments which you can see in the RTPs. So good to check them before your examination. Some percentages may change, something like NPA percentages may change, or capital adequacy ratio may change, something may change. So considering that, good to be mindful that these topics are very easy to score marks. Trust me, they're very easy to score marks. You know the concept, you will get those marks. You will never have the problem of, oh, it's already it's already time and I'm not able to solve the problem. You wouldn't have such issues with this. So these are the broad points what I want to just touch upon regarding these topics. All right. I want to pause here. We just have like 3 more minutes. Anything specifically you want to talk about?
May I, sir?
Please.
Sir, do you prefer more revision over more tests or more tests over more revision, sir?
More?
I mean, do you prefer revising the subject more or writing more tests ahead of the examination, sir?
Okay. See, particularly for accounts, I would actually encourage you to take one paper, maybe 20 days or 15 days before your exam. Take one paper, sit in examination conditions, like, just sit in a room with your calculator, water bottle, as if you're actually going to solve a paper in examination, and draw lines, do totals, do everything what you do in exam. What does it do? It starts building familiarity. This is like net practice before you go for a cricket match, right? So by now, I think everybody would have understood how big a fan of cricket I am. So before you go for the match, this is like a net practice. You start getting familiar with the framework, and you will start playing more comfortably. So I would encourage you to do that. You don't have to do it for every subject, but something like accounts, particularly because it will be like the first paper, it helps. If you're taking group 1 and group 2, I would encourage you to solve, maybe group 1 paper. If you're taking only group 2, then group 2 paper. Doesn't matter, but I want you to solve like one full question of accounting paper, or one full set of accounting paper before your exam. Does it clarify? But rest of the things, I think we should look at, very smartly, the key focus areas where you made mistakes earlier. Revising those is more important than just endlessly solving tests.
Sir, another doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, in one of the CA interviews which you interviewed, our senior told that he prefers, instead of writing the whole exam, he just selects the problem, keeps a time limit for the problem, and solves the problem, sir. Do you advise us to take a particular problem, keep a time limit, and solve the problem, or solve the whole paper for 3 hours, sir?
See, both have their advantages. See, when you solve the whole 3 hours paper, the advantages, you are actually getting some familiarity about the whole exam vibe, right?
Okay, sir.
When you solve that, say, consolidation question, I want to solve in 25 minutes. You are getting a focused or a targeted understanding of how to solve consolidation question in that time. That aspect is helping, right? So both have their merits, but in the first round, don't worry about the time limit and all. From second round onwards, you can start timing for some questions, so that you get a sense of how to do things quickly, parallelly, etc.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Most welcome. Any other questions? Any thoughts? How do you feel as the 1 hour session is over? You can share any reflections, and then we can wrap up.
I have a doubt.
Yeah, go ahead, Ritu.
So, is it enough if we practice the problems from ICI material, or should we look up to some reference books?
I will confidently tell you, just refer only to the problems which are there in Indigo Learn material.
Indigo, you have covered all the questions from ICI material.
Whatever is required, predominantly our guiding light is ICI. So whatever appeared in past exams, which is relevant, our team, you have no idea how amazing the team is.
Yes.
Right? So even if I forget to solve a question, our team will ensure that they give me a list, and I get to solve it for you. So it's an extraordinary team that works behind the scenes to get you the quality learning what you experience. So whatever you have in the curriculum of Indigo, in the book of Indigo Learn, I think that should be good.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, just now I have started the preparation. Actually, my attempt will be held on May 2022.
May?
Next year, May 2022.
Amazing. Okay.
I started with the ESOP I have completed.
Okay.
On upcoming questions or upcoming chapters, should I complete it by in the utter stage of 30 days and take the subject and complete it, or should I put a timetable for Monday I have to complete this, for Tuesday another subject, for Wednesday another subject, like that? What do you prefer?
See, generally, as I said, what I feel helps is, we shouldn't also overdo a subject so much that we just get bored of that subject, right? So spending 1 month, 1.5 months, for some people it works. Again, see, there is no right or wrong answer. For some people it works, and for some people it helps. Just like take a month, do only that. If you ask me, what I would prefer is I might take, say, something like accounting and say tax, or accounting and auditing, or accounting and say law. A paper where I need to read versus a paper where I need to solve a lot, and just do like say 2 hours of this, 2 hours of that. Then in this, again 2 hours of this, 2 hours of that, something like that. So I might just kind of do a bit of hopping between a couple of subjects. I think that would help me. But you think of something which will help you and try out. I mean, you have your exam in May 2022, so you have a chance to try out. Try out for a week, try out for 15 days. Have the courage to try.
Yeah,
See what's
sure.
working for you.
Yes, sure. I'll do
There
that.
is never a right or wrong answer, right? See, I still remember a few of our students who are All India first rankers. When I after the national award giving ceremony, they came back and we met up over pani puri. Okay, we were just having a chat, a casual chat. What one of our students said was, "Sir, I got first rank, someone else got second rank. Not even one book was in common for even one subject between me and the other person. Right? Not even one book was common between first ranker and second ranker." So that has to kind of bring in us some humility to say there is never one way to do it, right? I shouldn't just tell you, oh, the only way is the way I have taught you. No, right? But this is probably a way that I'm comfortable, and if you are comfortable to experiment, please do experiment. But because you have time.
Thank you very much, sir.
Most welcome. Anything else? Anyone?
So, sir, when we write the exams, it's always good to start with the AS and then the ESOP, like small questions.
Yeah.
After that, you go to consolidation, amalgamation, the late.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Best wishes for your exams. Stay cool, stay healthy, and enjoy your exams. And Indigo Learn is an integral part, or wants to be an integral part of your life, throughout your journey. And, in whatever way we can be of help to you, please reach out for any doubts.
Is
And
there any
please
meeting
spread
again?
the word.
Like this?
Tomorrow we have the session regarding auditing. Okay. And my dear friends, please do spread the word. The only people who have the right to talk about the quality of Indigo Learn, what to expect from Indigo Learn, is you people, right? You're the only people who have the right to talk about it. So, and you also have the responsibility to spread the word. So please do your bit. That is a help that you can do to the extraordinary team which is putting enormous effort to make your learning an experience which will transform your lives. So the help in return, what you can do is spread the word on your social media, amongst your friends, and get more people into this beautiful way of learning, learning subjects and learning, the way to approach CA in a very conceptual way and with a lot of fun. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.